energy price volatility over the last 24 hours. Brent crude 58.92, West Texas Intermediate at 55.27, both down 23% year to date on worries of a supply glut. That is the worry. But we did see a rebound this morning with U.S. President Trump saying there was going to be a blockade of Venezuelan oil tankers. So we had Brent crude rising this morning 1.3% to 59.74, West Texas up to 56.07. So it's all about energy. And of course, on the front page of today's This Day newspaper, Nigeria's newspaper of record, where is it? Okay, there it is. Senate's endorsing $60 oil benchmark. It was 75 for 2025. They've had to reduce that. I have to say, very prudent with where oil prices are. So we're going to be continuing the energy conversation with a new report. I got it right here in my hand from All On, which of course is about the impact evaluation report, their investments and their market building initiatives from 2010 to 8 through to 2024. Caroline Eboumbou, who of course is the CEO of All On, joins us. Good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us. Please have a seat. Let's have this conversation. It's great to have you here in the studio. You're very, very welcome, Caroline. And you guys have been doing a lot since you came into the market in 2016. So can you talk about that entry into the market, the energy space, and how that has influenced things for Nigeria?
Absolutely. Good morning. Thank you so much for having us. Such a pleasure being here today to talk about All On.
Yes.
And indeed, 2016. In 2016, All On came into the market at a time where renewable energy off-grid was a very nascent sector. You know, not many people actually knew what this sector was about. It was seen as quite a risky sector, and therefore not many players invested in it. All On was launched with that premise in mind, realizing that there was a need to actually invest patient capital to really start building the landscape for energy, renewable energy in the off-grid to help bridge the energy access gap. So our mission is very simple, reducing the energy access gap for Nigeria's unserved and underserved population.
Fantastic. Now, as far as energy access and installed capacity is concerned, right? You've got clean energy goals stretching to 2030. So how much progress have you made there?
Well, very happy to say that already as of 2024, we have surpassed our targets. As will be seen in that very detailed impact assessment report. Over the last 8 years of intervention, we have been able to connect over 250 households. That means connecting up to 1 million people. Thanks to off-grid clean energy investments that we've made into the country. So our goals are very aligned to the SDG 7 for the Vision 2030, and we are in good position to meet our goals by 2030 at All On.
Now, your investment portfolio, right? Can you talk about how it's grown and how you've diversified between, I guess, 2018 to like 2024 or so?
So, as I said earlier, when we started, because it was such a nascent sector, a lot of work had to be done with regards to really developing the first opportunities, really preparing in a way investments to get to that scalable stage. So we started with a lot of very interesting, for instance, USDF off-grid challenge, where we looked at companies that had some great ideas and some expertise in the renewable energy sector, but maybe we were not yet at that level of sophistication that is required for large-scale investments. We have been investing on the whole supply chain. Can you imagine? Mini grids, SHS, cold storage. We've made some very key investments that started with some as small as 50,000 to help develop an idea, and now we're talking about repeat investments to the tune of millions in either the same companies that have grown or different companies that have entered the market. That's one thing we've been very intentional about, is making sure that we also help Nigerian homegrown companies get a competitive edge in this not only national market but international market. So for instance, one example that we give in terms of how we have been able to take companies from early stage to now scalable, bankable opportunities is one that we refer to, it's called Oxano. Oxano, as of today, is Nigeria's largest solar panel assembly facility to the tune of 100 megawatts. When we started with them, we gave them a simple 50,000 grant because we saw that, we had a project developer that had the great vision, great idea, and wanted to see where it could go. Well, fast forward, post our investment, we've invested millions. They've also gotten some commercial funding from the likes of the Sterling Banks and BOI and so on. So this is really an example of the impact that we have on not only the country, but also the country's private sector.
You guys are doing great work, and off-grid just is music to my ears because a lot of people want to get off the grid. But because the country is trying to make improvements to the grid and so on and so forth. But that's a very important point there. Can you talk DARTS? You got an acronym called DARTS. It's a financing facility. Can you talk to us about that?
I'd love that.
Yes.
Demand aggregation for renewable technology platform.
Aha.
It's all in the word, demand aggregation. So what we did. So another thing, before I go into the details on that, one thing that we've been doing at Allon is making sure that it's not only about investments. Yes, you have to invest in the opportunities, but even for those opportunities to be ready, you have to also develop the research around it, all the R&D and understanding what the opportunities are. So a few years back, we realized that one of the obstacles for the developers were the high cost. It's always about the capex. Capital expenditure were very high. We sat down and we said, how can we actually try to bring those costs down a bit? So one of our very good partner, SE for All, we commissioned a study and said, please look into this procurement and aggregation. Is there something we can do there? Is there a solution? And that's how we came up with this research that with SE for All that showed that if we were to pull the demand from different developers and actually aggregate their demand, you will be able to help them get to cost saving up to 30% in their capex. Can you imagine? That's amazing for a developer.
Significant, yeah.
And so we did. And with this platform that was launched, we made sure that it was really well synced with some other important strategic initiatives in the country.
Yeah.
For instance, at the time, the NEP, sorry for the acronym, the Nigeria Electrification Program from the Rural Electrification Authority, which is now the DARES, very similar, whereby through all that, we provide the funding upfront to the developers, therefore removing the construction funding risk. They go ahead, develop their programs. Once they can prove that they have the connections, they have access to amazing subsidies from the Rural Electrification Agency through the DARES and NEP program that I just mentioned. And cost savings, we said 30%. To some of them, it's represented even up to 40% cost saving.
That's huge.
It is huge.
It is huge. Well done there. Now, as far as you mentioned earlier, assisting startups, right? There's a whole lot that startups have to do in order to be, early stage ready as far as investments are concerned. So how are you supporting them to get there?
That's another thing that we saw very early on, that it's not going to be about investing directly in ready companies, but we needed to develop a very specific vehicle, which we developed, and it's called the All-On Hub. So the hub, think of it as a tool that provides everything a company requires besides the funding, because the funding, we do it for our investment.
Right, exactly.
But besides the funding, all the technical assistant capacity building that you can imagine, we've provided. Up to date, we have provided funding through the hub to more than 80 companies, different kind of grants and so on. And it goes from assisting them with their financial modeling abilities, their legal, sometimes for these developers, the cost of just getting all the legal documentation in place.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
Here you are, you provide a service. Another example that I love to give is what we call CFO as a service. We realize that those companies, sometimes they have the great technical capability, great products, but when they get to that, that's that level where we now want them to start getting some commercial funding out there, they might be missing that critical CFO skill. And so as they're, building their own internal capacity and while they're recruiting, we have a fixer, a CFO that comes in, analyzes where are the issues, and really help them in their fundraising and so on. We've seen how amazing it's been for them. So aside of the 60-plus company we've directly invested in, we also have 80-plus companies that we have supported through the hub and provided all kind of capacity building services.
That is very helpful. It's not just about getting funding. It's also about making sure that they are quality of service and they know how to get the books together and so on and so forth. The environment, air quality. When people burn refuse, they drive me crazy. I don't know. We still something that happens here and so on and so forth. And I think that there should be a whole campaign around that. But in terms of what you've done at the company, what Allon has done to try to improve quality of life, the environment, air and so on and so forth. Can you speak to that initiative and how improvements have been made?
Well, it's really at the heart of everything we do, because once you bring a clean energy alternative in a household, in a community, then ultimately everything changes, in the sense that, as we know, electricity is at the heart of everything that we do, whether it's health, education, food,
Tech.
Tech,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
It's all linked. So when you talk about health benefits, when you're able to provide now a clean alternative to a household that does not need to rely on fossil fuel burning mechanism, then absolutely the health advantages, environmental advantages, you name it, they are very numerous. And this is why for us it's so important that as we progress, and we're so excited to see also that as we progress, clean, renewable energy has taken such a strong place in Nigeria's energy transition agenda.
Yeah. Hey, look, I love your passion. I mean, I can tell that you really enjoy
Yes,
helping
yeah.
these communities and these businesses. As far as the businesses are concerned, you've already talked about the CFO as a service and so on, but economic impact for the small businesses that you've assisted. Can you talk about what, the multiplier effect for them and so on?
I guess there are many examples, but since there's one that's so fresh, yesterday we launched this product and this research, and as we launched it, what we did, we also invited obviously some of our stakeholders. Within the different stakeholders, we invited obviously our grantees, investees, because truly it's their work.
Right.
We are so happy that we facilitated, but they are the ones who day to day are on the field and making it happen. So it was important that we launched this with them. And as we were, discussing, one of them came to me and said, "Now, I cannot tell you the benefit we are deriving from the support you're giving us. You think you know, but you don't." And I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Just this year, over the last 5 months, the way I've refined the financial model with one of your staff has helped us save 10 million naira in terms of what we would have paid the companies we usually pay for the fundraising."
That's a lot of money.
So this is one clear, simple, direct example of economic benefit. Obviously, then there are others because we're an impact funder, we were started with very patient capital from our funder Shell. We are very, very patient. We have an ability to take risks that others cannot, and that has really helped us go the extra mile, the extra step with our companies. We don't stop at one intervention. For instance, naira devaluation. You can imagine, no matter how good of a businessman you are, no matter how top of your business plans you have, when a currency loses up to 40% of its value,
you're going to get hit.
You're going to get hit, and real hard for some of them.
Right.
So we actually were very proactive, and we said, let's not wait until they come to us and they said that they have to close shop. What can we do? So we started working with the team ahead of time, restructuring deals and trying to help them find, different ways, help them on the FX side and so on. So we are really all encompassing because that's what the sector needs. And now that we've brought that element of de-risking, we now see a lot more new funders who are coming in this sector and providing funds for the scalability of this sector.
We have just a minute left. Talk to us about the future and how you plan to, I guess, help, as far as Nigeria's energy future is concerned, the underserved communities you're helping in businesses. What does the future look like? We're going into this December, we're going into a new year. So what's that outlook?
I can't believe we only have a minute left, but
I know.
I guess now it's even, 49 seconds?
Yes.
In 49 seconds, let me summarize and say the future is indeed bright. Not only because we're in the electricity sector.
Nice pun.
Yes,
I like
right?
that.
You like
I like that.
But truly a bright future ahead of us because I see that we are now at a conjuncture where all the stakeholders are at the table. And for the longest time it was on-grid versus off-grid. No, now everyone is realizing that both of them are such an important piece of the puzzle that in this equation, when it comes to energy access, electricity penetration, we need everyone at the table. That's why I'm excited. We are constantly talking to the Rural Electrification Agency who's doing an amazing job there. MT Abain is a fantastic team. We're talking, as I said, to the SE4Os, to the funders, to the different commercial banks. I mean, so many institutions are now pooling their strength together. We have a clear timeline, clear pathways. We also may have heard of M300. It's the initiative that's all about energy access, for which, in Nigeria, we're going to be a key part of. And maybe the next emission, I'll tell you more about M300. But for now, let me tell you that because everyone is around the table working in one direction and with very great support even on the policy side as well. Funders are ready. I think great things are going to happen in 2026. Stay tuned.
Hey, look, we will stay tuned. I love your passion, love your dedication,
Thank
and
you.
this electricity energy it's the be all and end all for every economy. Caroline Eboumbou, CEO, All On Partnership for Energy Access. Thank you so much for coming to talk to us.
A pleasure.
I got the report right here.
Really?
Everybody should read it. Thank you for your time.
Thank
I
you.
really
Thanks for
appreciate
having
it.
us.